Yo, hello Dragonfly Swarm. So Albedo is getting another rerun alongside Nilou's banner, and I wanted to talk about him today because I've been doing a lot of testing to see where exactly he sits in the meta now that Dendro exists, and there are things I want to say. In this video, I'm gonna go over everything that's changed with Albedo since his last rerun and take a look at where he stands as of 3.1. But before I do, if this video helps you in any way, you should totally subscribe because very few people that watch my content are actually subscribed. I would very much appreciate it. Oh, also, disclaimer, the points in this video are purely for the purposes of meta discussion. This is a video that strictly discusses Albedo's power level, not whether or not you should pull for him for personal reasons, like if his hair got nerfed from the splash art to the endgame model. With that out of the way though, I suppose we must begin. Firstly, Albedo is almost exclusively a Geo sub DPS. That is basically his entire provided value as a character, and the only utility he provides outside of off-field damage is the 125 elemental mastery bonus on his 4th ascension passive. Which, off topic but kinda relevant, why did they make that his 4th ascension passive? That's so random for a Geo character. But it works where it works, I guess. Anyways, the problem with characters that play almost exclusively as DPS characters is that they're very inflexible and generally don't age that well, or at least they're not as likely to age well. That's why you've probably heard many people advise against pulling for 5-star DPS characters over 5-star support characters because it'll generally be more bang for your buck since supports tend to age better. And I will give credit where credit is due, Albedo hasn't really aged poorly, and he's been out for a very long time. But I don't think that has much to do with him being an exception to the DPS rule. It's more so that his kit is very abstract and therefore flexible, if that flexibility interests the teams you want to play. As a Geo character, he doesn't interfere too heavily with important reactions for teams like double Geo vape teams, but he's also found an exceptionally powerful niche inside of mono Geo teams, and that's thanks to Ito, Noel, and Goro with their ability to buff and capitalize off of defense scaling. So in theory, Albedo does actually fit into a lot of teams, like a lot, and that's very nice since he can end up dealing quite a bit of off-field damage, say upwards of 22k Geo damage per Transient Blossom, maybe even more. But in reality, he's only optimal in a small handful of teams, and that unfortunately doesn't seem to include Dendro-related teams, even with double Geo and even with his Elemental Mastery buff. I tested Albedo with our 2 strongest contenders for Quicken teams, the first of which being Cyno, in a team using Cyno, Dendro Traveler, Albedo, and Zhongli. The second team uses the exact same team, except Albedo is swapped out for Fischl, and as you can see, Albedo's team just barely gets beaten by the Fischl team, which seems quite exciting since my Fischl is already at C6 and she works very well with Cyno in the first place. But it's not exciting because my Fischl is holding a level 70 Mons Moonbow that provides like basically no value to her. So at least with Cyno there are significantly better options than Albedo double Geo, but I thought about that and I instead tried a Tignati team comparison, the first team using Tignati, Albedo, Zhongli, and Fischl, and the second team being absolutely identical except Dendro Traveler takes Albedo's place and allows Tignati to run 4-piece Wanderers instead of 4-piece Deepwood. And, as you can see here, the difference actually becomes almost unnoticeable. Both teams killed the Primo Geo Bishop at pretty much the exact same time, but the only problem is that Albedo is a 5-star limited character and Dendro Traveler is completely free to obtain. So as of right now, the general conclusion with Albedo's Dendro importance is that he's either less than optimal or not noticeably stronger than other easier to obtain options. And personally, I do think that could change because every DPS character interacts differently. For example, my Cyno is significantly stronger with my Fischl because she's at C6 and Cyno's attacks quickly trigger Oz's attacks, but Tignati doesn't do that unless you weave in his normal attacks between his combos, so he actually does enjoy Albedo's damage output more than Cyno does, it just doesn't happen to be more enjoyable than his other options. And in regards to using Geo Resonance as a means for buffing your Quicken teams, it does work as you can see, but it's expensive, because Quicken teams are already very strained for teammates, so having to fill 2 slots with 2 limited characters, Albedo and Zhongli, is unrealistic for some players, and even for those that have these 2 very swag Geo characters, it's not like Geo Resonance is noticeably stronger than just running a regular Dendro Quicken team. My point with Albedo and Dendro teams is that yes, he can work and he can work quite well, but he does not currently work better than other more realistic options. That could change in the future, but not right now. But there's actually another issue that I wanted to discuss with him, and that is his importance to double Geo vape teams, most notably with Hu Tao. Back in 2.7, Yelan was released, and with the help of Xingqiu, she created a new team archetype for Hu Tao known as Double Hydro Hu Tao, in which you can run Yelan and Xingqiu with Hu Tao and Xiangling to vape all of their attacks and significantly buff their damage. And now thanks to the fact that Hydro Resonance has changed in 3.0 to grant the entire team an HP bonus, this team has become even more monstrously terrifying terrifyingly strong than it already was. And that's kind of a problem for Albedo, because one of Hu Tao's strongest teams before this and one of the most popular teams in the game was Double Geo Hu Tao with Albedo and Zhongli. This team utilizes Geo Resonance to allow Hu Tao a massive damage increase as well as a nice boost to her reaction damage thanks to Albedo's 4th Ascension passive. And for a long time, especially after her 2.2 rerun, it actually sat as one of the most commonly used teams in the Spiral Abyss, which is quite a feat. But now that Double Hydro Hu Tao exists, there isn't that much of a reason to invest in this team anymore except for one reason, that reason being comfort. Double Hydro Hu Tao has significantly less comfort than Albedo's team because it doesn't incorporate a shielder, and Hu Tao generally really likes shielders. So while the team is quite a bit stronger than Double Geo Hu Tao, it's also way more risky. And that kind of leads me to say that I wouldn't necessarily consider Albedo power crept in this team because it's still very justifiable for its power and ease of use. It's just that there are blatantly stronger options now in terms of raw DPS.
There's also Double Geo Xiao teams, which are actually quite nice since Xiao already has such a small pool of teams that actually fully benefits him, Albedo's Double Geo team being one of them. This is because Zhongli's shield and Albedo's skill have a high enough uptime to completely cover Xiao's burst duration, plus they provide rare and powerful buffs that are otherwise very difficult to obtain. So it's one of few teams that Albedo is actually very valuable and borderline irreplaceable on. And then the last team archetype I wanted to mention is Mono Geo, but there isn't too much to say about this team style because not much has changed about it at all since its creation back in 2.3. All you really need to know is that any team with Ito or Noelle as your main DPS and Goro as your support will very much enjoy Albedo as a sub DPS. It's a huge team damage power spike thanks to Albedo's high off-field damage and defense scaling, and aside from Zhongli, there aren't many other options at all that come close to the value that he provides anyways. And that remains unchanged to this day. Now I do want to very quickly talk about Albedo's weapon options, and I don't usually do this for discussion videos, but in this case it felt necessary because his options are weird. So back in 2.3, Albedo received a free 4-star sword called Cinnabar Spindle as an event reward, and this weapon is his best weapon by a long shot. It's better than any other 5-star weapon you could put on him, and at the time provided a huge increase to his damage ceiling. But unfortunately, it's an event weapon, and as of 3.1, Hoyoverse has never ever made a past event weapon available more than once. So if you have this weapon, it's absolutely amazing on Albedo and kinda trash on everybody else currently. But the good news is, even if you don't have this weapon, Albedo does have a 3-star option that actually ends up generally being his second best in slot, which is Harbinger of Dawn. Harbinger of Dawn competes very closely with Jade Cutter as his second best weapon, but Harbinger actually does pull ahead in multiple scenarios, and while neither of these weapons can even compete with Cinnabar Spindle's power, they're still quite strong for Albedo. And I'm mostly bringing this up because if you do have Cinnabar Spindle and you were on the fence about Albedo, it might actually be worth pulling for him under the assumptions that you wanted him at his highest potential. But on the flip side of that argument, even if you don't have Cinnabar Spindle and you really wanted Albedo, he does have a 3-star sword option that outperforms almost every other weapon he can use. So overall, while Albedo has unfortunately seen very few improvements and quite a few minor setbacks since 2.3, he's still a strong unit and quite a valuable pull if you're looking for him in specific team archetypes such as Mono Geo, Double Geo Vape teams, I just said that. And I do think there's room for argument that he's strong in spread teams, he just needs a little bit more of a push in regards to those teams. So anyways, if this video helped you or you just enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing, and I will see you guys a little bit later.